Good morning today, 24th July 2024. We are going to discuss editorials of The Hindu. First article here, it discusses about Union Budget 24-25. This article will be discussed in detail. The second article here, it talks about message of fiscal stability, growth opportunity. This article also will discuss in detail. These two articles are also important. However, these are the repetitive points are being mentioned, so we'll discuss this article if time permits, or otherwise we'll discuss in tomorrow's editorial discussion. This article here, how social actor the funds has been allocated, and then it is old wine in old bottle. That's what author says. So we'll discuss this article also in detail. Let's go further. As you are aware, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman placed budget in the parliament yesterday. Before going to discuss budget, budget is also known as annual financial statement. As per Indian Constitution, Article 112 dictates annual financial statement, famously known as budget. So before going to budget, we'll just go through few terms. Budget includes revenue and capital. Revenue, you will get money, receipts, and you do some expenditure. That is a revenue expenditure. So in receipts, you have tax and non-tax receipts, and capital, you have receipts and expenditure. Receipts, you have debt and non-debt. Expenditure, you will expend in capital related projects, government related projects and all. You will be keep on hearing the term fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit means total borrowing requirement of the government. Higher is the fiscal deficit, higher is the capacity of the government to borrow. It dictates that our economy is in bad position, economy not in good condition. So lower is a fiscal deficit, it's good for economy. We'll call fiscal consolidation. We'll discuss all those things in the budget. So fiscal deficit is nothing but revenue expenditure, capital expenditure minus revenue receipts and capital receipts except borrowings. So let's, without further any time waste, we'll go into article directly. First article here, Union Budget 24-25. As you all aware, Nirmala Sitharaman, seventh, the Finance Minister of India, presented her seventh consecutive budget, a coalition led by Bharatiya Janata Party. So Bharatiya Janata Party came to power third time with underwhelming mandate. Economic Survey 2023-2024 pointed that industrialist and business elite men, they are swimming in excess profit. They are generating huge profit. Now the priority of the government not to overtax them, but ease the burden of regulation on the businesses and help the private sector in generating more productive jobs out of enlightened self-interest. Business must lead to march towards Viksit Bharat 2047. India wants to become a developed nation, and then it wants to be excelled in all the sectors by 2047. The job of the government is to persuade private sector to take up the leadership opportunity. The government had met with two issues. One is recently during the elections, there were a lot of economic problems were there, from rural distress, widespread unemployment. So they have included these things in the budget. The second thing is BJP led government, that is NDA, Democratic Alliance, National Democratic Alliance, is formed with two other major alliances: Telugu Desam Party from Andhra Pradesh, Janata Dal United from Bihar. So these two government accommodation also be need to be included by minority-led NDA in power. The speech that gave by Nirmala Sitharaman did did not make any issues. However, how they resolve through budget, it need to be seen. During the budget speech, most of the time, Nirmala Sitharaman had spent time on employment, especially educated unemployed. Multiple initiatives were announced in the budget. So if we discuss they fall in two buckets. One, the scheme for providing employment subsidies either directly, indirectly to employment. Those employees who are having salary up to 1 lakh a month will be provided 15 lakh in three installment to all new employees in the informal sector. However, it need to be seen whether it can be implemented in informal sector. Further, private sector already they are providing with subsidies. They can internalize these subsidy that also need to be seen. Another set of subsidies 3,000 per month contribution for 2 years to be made by government against provident fund subscription PF. It goes directly to employees account. Second bucket consists schemes such as subsidized internships, interest subvention, educational loans. They will make people to convert into skilled workers at state expense. So it makes them to get employment. So this has been formed on the assumption that inadequate and inappropriate growth. It is not this inadequate and inappropriate growth. It is because of they don't have the skill set that requires job aspirant. So if we provide these skill set, they will definitely get employment and we can tackle unemployment. Private sector combined with direct tax concession and indirect tax adjustment to favor domestic manufacturing, so unemployment problem can be resolved. This also need to be seen. The underlying perception growth does not deliver more jobs is that business want to hire but finds the available labor force too expensive or they don't have the skills. The mismatch between the skills and the budget, it need to be seen how it comes. If we see at the agriculture sector, there is a stark difference between these things. Farmers who have been street for years now unlikely to be impressed about these things. What allies will get? So TDP has been major support. TDP government at Andhra Pradesh got major support to build new capital at Amravati region of Andhra Pradesh, and also these promises are not backed up by significant financial support from center. However, it need to be seen the finance for these things will be given by multilateral development banks and supported by center. But multilateral development bank, whether they listen to NDA leaders, it is not clear. So how the finance will be developed to these allied parties, we do not know. Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, they have given good package. It need to be seen. Moreover, there is a restriction on states how much need to be borrowed. So it is unclear whether how these things also be issued by the center. The government in its first year power completely ignored welfare schemes. That's what author said. So in National Social Assistance Program, government allocated 9,652 crores. Revised estimates, same thing. It is announced in 24-25. There is no much change. Even in National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, there is no difference or there is no extra allocations in the budget compared to 2023-24. Despite extension of free food grade allocation under National Food Security Act, National Food Security Act, the budget fall from 2,12,000 to 2,05,000 crores. It is only Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for construction of housing only saw no good increase in its allocation in the recent budget. How government will get fund? How the secret source of fund? Large ambition reflected in the budget how they are going to cater. So they are going to cater through two elements. First thing is through fiscal consolidation. The budget majorly dictates about two things. One is fiscal consolidation. Fiscal deficit expected to come down 4.9% GDP in 23-24 to 4.5% this year. So this is a good achievement. How this has been achieved, we'll discuss shortly. The second thing is they want to increase capital expenditure from 7,40,000 to in 2022-23 to 9,48,000 crore in 23-24, rise further to 11 lakh 11,111 crore in 24-25. So there is a constant increase in the capital expenditure. However, the tax revenue, we are not going to see any rise in tax revenue, but how they are going to achieve. The secret source is again the dividends and surplus from Reserve Bank of India and leading public financial institutions. So it was 39,000 in 2022, 1 lakh 4,000 in 23-24 and 2 lakh 32,874 crores. You don't need to mug up these things. You just need to remember there is increase in revenue, dividends and surpluses issued by Reserve Bank of India and financial institution to central government. Whether these funds will be utilized for welfare development, all these things need to be seen. The next article, fiscal stability, message for fiscal stability and growth continuity. This article also majorly discuss about budget only. The union budget for financial year 25, that means 24-25, already presented. It gave strong message. Under the new administration, coalition government has been formed and they gave strong message. They maintained their undisputed focus on stability, fiscal stability and the continuity, sustainable growth. They are focusing on these things. In financial 2024, GDP growth projected to be 8.2%, driven by mostly major segmentation, consumption of goods. There is a demand for such goods, luxury cars, houses and goods, stagnant wages, low cost moving consumer goods sales, and inflation. These things have, despite of all these things, it maintained good GDP growth. Fiscal deficit 5.6% of GDP in 2024, still high compared to pre-pandemic levels. The needed growth impetus via capital spending, capital expenditure is much discussed. Against these things, in 2025 budget, several measures have been discussed. Quality of employment, fortify agriculture, bring micro and small medium enterprises into meaningful role play in India's manufacturing renaissance. MSMEs, as you are aware, they are the growth of the country. They will help, they will employ majority of the people, unskilled and semi-skilled people into the sector, and then financing them will be a great opportunity. So government through its packages focusing on reviving the economy and bringing economy on track. These things will definitely help India to propel toward Viksit Bharat 2047. From agriculture, promotion of Atmanirbharta in pulses and oilseed has been discussed extensively. Agriculture research also discussed. Because of climate change is happening, research is very much needed. So climate resilient crops can be grown, large scale clusters for vegetable production, processing, all these things will be discussed. Digital public infrastructure in agriculture for coverage of farmers and their lands, all these things are in support of Annadata, that is farmer. When agriculture sector will grow, government deliver its promise of food grains under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Now it is again extended for 5 more years. On employment generation front, budget included many things, especially for youth to bring them in formal workforce. A new scheme offering incentive to employee as well as employees who join the workforce for first time. There is outlay of 10,000 crore for them. Other fresh schemes incentivizing internship with outlay of 22,000 crore, skilling youth in collaborating state governments and industry were envisaged. There is a tripartite compact between central government, state government and private sector. Economic survey recommended union budget to deliver rising aspiration of Indian youth. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana saw 37 more funds allocation than last year. And in the route, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, they will make houses for both rural and urban area. Overall, it's a 37% growth, but rural area saw 70% jump in the allocation. That means rural area, more houses will be constructed. Housing remains one of the hallmark of the government. Production linked incentive scheme also got good rise with 75% more allocation in the present budget. There are several other things included in the budget. Custom duties in order to support manufacturing and deepen the supply chain and local value addition. So there is a reduction in the custom duties also. MSMEs face always financial constraints. So to address them, a promise has been delivered to facilitate the term loan to these MSMEs for purchase of machinery and equipment without any collaterals. For improved and undisputed lending, banks will now allow to develop in-house credit assessment and facilitation backed up by government to continue extend credit for MSME even in stress times. During stress times, what happens? Bank will not be in a position to lend. So with government support now, so bank can lend money to MSMEs. So MSME, as we discussed, so they will definitely thrive. Most of these initiatives will definitely help in macroeconomic indicators and pushing job-led growth in the medium term. Government succeeded in maintaining fiscal discipline while also there is a need to stimulate the economy. Way forward, what we need to do compared to interim budget that was placed before election, fiscal deficit estimate was 5.1%. The government now cut down headline deficit target to 4.9%, 9%. It again allows to smooth the transition to 4.6%. So this gives government commitment to push the economy in years forward. With capex allocation of 11.1 trillion and Reserve Bank of India's highest revenue surplus, that is dividend transfer of 2.1 trillion this year, divided between welfare spends and fiscal deficit. So these two things definitely helped in this theme. India is also moving forwards with domestic bonds that are becoming famous in the international global bond indices if they are linked. So India's fiscal metrics will be reviewed by international agencies. Fitch, Moody, these are credit rating agencies. They will rate India in good category AAA. You might have seen these things BAA, such a kind of rating. So these ratings will help India to improve its sovereign rating in the near future. So next article, social sector, it is world wine in old bottle. This article basically discuss about how fund has been allocated and there is no change in several other schemes have been discussed. We'll just discuss what is the scheme and how funds has been allocated. Just review how budget has been allocated. Author says budget 2024 is no different from previous year as far as allocation for the social sectors are concerned. This time, despite there is a huge focus on youth, farmers, women, and poor, they are identified as a focus group. Economic survey, one chapter is there, social sector benefits that empower. India is high in sustained economic growth in recent years due to social and institutional progress. It is also transformation and effective implementation of government programs with empowering aids has become hallmark of a transformation approach for the welfare. Welfare is accompanied through government programs. However, it is seen that the budget has not allocated enough funds. They just maintain the status quo, quid pro quo. So disappointing allocations. In school education, 5,000 crores. For higher education, minor 3,000 crores has been allocated. Department of Health and Family Welfare has been increased by 1,500 crore compared to last year. Manrega, There is no change in Manrega scheme. There are many people in the rural areas who are depending on Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. There is no much increase in the funds. Public distribution system PDS, National Food Security Act delivers food grains through PDS. 2011 population based on that funds has been allocated. However, in 2021 population might have increased. These things have never considered and the fund remained at the same case. Similar case with Poshan Abhiyan, midday meal scheme. Slight increase, it saw slight increase from 11,000 to 12,000 crores. However, less than actual thing from 2020 to 23. Saksham Anganwadi scheme for children under 6 years, pregnant, lactating women, adolescent girls. A budgetary allocation is 21,200 crores. 23 it was a slight increase, just slight increase. There are Anganwadi workers are there. For them, honorarium will be paid. In some state, they will pay 7,000 to Aya workers. There will be teachers, Anganwadi teachers. For them, some 11,000 will be paid. So they are also expecting good salary because good, I don't say salary, it's honorarium. So they were also expecting these things. Now with this budget, it is unlikely that their salary also may increase. In Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana PMMVY, his scheme also saw reduction in the fund allocation compared to 23-24. So presently, every pregnant woman 5,000 rupees has been paid, but this has never changed since scheme has been launched. National Social Assistance Program for giving social security pensions to elderly, single women and disabled remains unchanged. Once again, the reduction in real terms does not have any root in terms of increasing coverage or amount even to adjust inflation. The central contribution for social security pension has been 200 per person per month since 2009. These reductions cannot be justified on account of better schemes that have been taking their place. Some of the schemes may benefit such as Atal Pension Yojana. Basically what author wants to say is there is slight increase or no increase at all in allocation during budget 24-25. The employment challenge we have already discussed. Prime Minister package for employment and skilling. Several things have been discussed. EPFO enrollment, skill development programs. These schemes do not even very impressive. The entire package for employment generation over last 5 years stands at rupees 2 lakh crore. It is very less when compared to other developing nations, even developed nations. Further, there are money that have been spent through corporate social responsibility by private sector. So now government linked and incentivized private sector for paying internship amount to newly employed people through CSR funds. The CSR has been incentivized. So this is the article we have discussed today. Thank you. Thank you very much for the discussion.